One of the best things you can do for your child in 2025 is teach them how to fight. Now, last week I talked about men needing to learn how to fight, but just as important, we need to teach our children how to fight. Because the reality is, if your child does not know how to fight, and you haven't trained them, they're going to get bullied. Whether they get bullied in grade school, middle school, high school. And I've known people that get bullied their whole life long, including into adulthood. Bullying doesn't stop when they become adults. You have to be able to fight. It's an uncomfortable reality of life. Children get bullied, as well as adults, viciously. And if you're not able to fight, you're not able to stop it. And we want to give our children more behind their no. When they say no, stop doing this to me, there needs to be more behind that no than just hope. I hope they stop based off my verbal jiu-jitsu, because you don't have anything behind it. I want to make sure my children, my grandchildren have something behind that no. So if no doesn't stop the problem, they have another recourse. Do I want to see children fight? Absolutely not. But the reality is from the beginning of time, we live in a violent society. Not just here in the United States, we're talking about throughout the world. Violence is the reality. And it's an uncomfortable reality. A lot of us like to pretend like it doesn't exist, or I've heard people say, well, we don't believe in violence in our family. We believe in other stuff. Okay, well, that's great. But unfortunately, you live in a society with people that don't share those values, and they will bring violence to you. And in fact, like when we discovered the Neanderthals, it was like in a cave in France. When they discovered, I believe it was 3 Neanderthal bodies, but through the discovery, they realized those Neanderthals had been murdered. So violence isn't a new thing. It's gone on as long as we've been on this earth. So help your kids, train them, and don't give them terrible advice. Like there used to be a song, even they made it into a movie. It was a Kenny Rogers song. It was called "Coward of the County." Whereas this young man Tommy, he was raised not to fight, but then the Gatlin boys, there was 3 of them, and they had abused his girlfriend. And Tommy shows up at the bar the Gatlin boys are at, and he locks the door, and he lays a whooping on the 3 Gatlin boys. It was a wonderful song, wonderful movie. I think Kenny Rogers sung the song. The movie, I think it was just on regular TV. It was great. But realize that's fantasy. Real life, that don't happen. And a lot of parents give their children bad advice when they're being bullied. They're like, just punch that bully in the nose. That's what I did when I was a kid. That's what your grandfather did. We just punched him, knocked him out, and that bully never messed with us again. And that sounds great. But a lot of times, those stories come from the same person that told you they were born and raised in Florida and went uphill in the snow both ways to and from school. It's things that didn't happen. Sounds great. Makes for a great song, great movie, great stories. But it's terrible advice to teach a child, because oftentimes the child that's being bullied is smaller and less athletic than the person bullying them. And they don't know how to punch. And so throwing a punch could just lead to a brutal beatdown. So make sure your child knows how to punch. If that's the advice you're giving them, sign them up for boxing classes or sign them up for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. If you can't afford that, every school, I think starting at middle school, has wrestling programs. Wrestling is a legit martial art that will teach you how to fight, and it is super effective. Sign them up for wrestling. There's avenues to take to help prepare them to fight, because maybe you don't know how to fight and you're the parent. Make sure they get to somebody that helps teach them how to fight so they can stop the bullying. It'd be great if we could prevent bullying just through verbal jiu-jitsu, talking our way through it. But we realize that that's not the world we live in. The world we live in is strength equals deterrence. And if I can fight, and people know I can fight, they're less likely to want to try to bully me. So that's the answer to this week's question of the week. What can you do to help your children in 2025? And I say, man, teach them how to fight. That's my answer. Any insights people have below, just make your comment. Agree, disagree, it's all good. All right, till next week. Ciao.